Hello everyone, this is 05 and welcome to the Current Satchel Toy Review. And today so we're looking at the 2008 release by Hasbro of the G.I. Joe celebrating the 25th anniversary action figure review. And today's video is a part 2 video, and we'll be continuing on our review for the comic pack issue number 25 that featured Deep Six and Staff Sergeant Rock N Roll. So this part 2 video will be finishing up our review and look at Staff Sergeant Rock N Roll. Now, Deep Six has been removed, plus the comic of issue number 25 out from packaging. What's left behind is the figure for the Rock N Roll figure. Inside the packaging, we have the figure Rock N Roll holding the light machine gun, the bipod. Next to him, it will be his combat knife. Above him and behind him would be the belt feet for his light machine gun, and below the figure would be the base stand. Now, I already explained the details of the back portion of the packaging itself, so if you want to know more about the back portion of the packaging, which is nothing much, it's just covering the front covers of the comics itself and the rest of the lineup. So without further ado, let's release Rock N Roll out from the packaging so we can molest the figure. Be right back. And we're back after doing the figure and the rest of stuff out from the packaging. Now let's take a look at Rock N Roll's file card. Yeah, it comes with a nice little file card, and the file card here, you got a nice little image of Rock N Roll, and on the top section there stated machine gunner code name Staff Sergeant Rock N Roll, file name McConnell Craig S, primary military specialty infantry, secondary military specialty PT instructor, birthplace Malibu, California, grade E5. In the write-up, it stated before he enlisted in the Army, Staff Sergeant Rock N Roll was a surfer in Malibu, a weightlifter, and a bass guitarist in a local rock band. Yet it was the life-saving actions of an Army Ranger that he witnessed on the beach as a boy which left a lasting impression and eventually led him to join the military. He thoroughly enjoys his job and jumps into each mission against Cobra forces with ferocious determination. He's familiar with all NATO and Warsaw Pact light and heavy machine guns. He graduated at the top of his class from advanced infantry training and received specialized training at Covert Ops School. Very nice. And he quote, "I don't even have to like you. I could even hate your guts. If you're on my team and you're calling for my help, I am there." Very nice. And on the other side here is all black. Now, let's put the file card on one side. Let's take a look at Rock N Roll's accessories here, starting off with the base stand. Comes with a nice little G.I. Joe base stand of the 25th anniversary line itself. We got a nice little G.I. Joe logo on the top with two pegs for the figure to stand on, and the nameplate there stated code name Staff Sergeant Rock N Roll. At the back of the base stand itself, bottom section there stated 2007 Hasbro made in China. Now, Rock N Roll here actually comes with a nice bunch of accessories, but none of the accessories actually is any difference to the single carded version of Rock N Roll. They're basically the same accessories there. So it comes with a gray combat knife, of course with no paint job at all, just pure gray plastic material color, and you can put the knife onto his knife sheath on the right side of the thigh there, as you can see. Then we have his helmet. The helmet is, well, made of a green plastic colored material helmet, and there's no paint job at all, as you can see there. Not much of details there, just very simple helmet, as you can see. There are rivets on each side of the helmet, but again, nothing special. Then we have his belt feet. Now the belt feet is made of a yellow plastic material color, and the belt itself is painted in gray, as you can see there. I really wish they actually paint the ammo in gold paint job so it will look a little bit more nicer rather than this plastic color here. You can actually connect the belt feet onto the light machine gun here. Now the light machine gun comes in two pieces. The bipod is a removable piece, and you can clip onto this section here. Now you can actually push the bipod all the way up like so, or on the other side. Now this entire light machine gun here is made of a gray plastic material color, and the original gun that was found in the single color version of Rock N Roll, the entire thing is made of green plastic color, the same green as, well, a little bit darker green compared to that version. So this version is a bit more better looking. At least it's not green at all, so I'm pretty glad of that. Now the details is quite nicely done. The same mold, nothing changed. You got a nice little handle there, a trigger, as you can see there's a trigger there, a smaller trigger, and a finger guard, and a stock at the back, the barrel, the targeting sight on the top here, very nice. Now on the other side of the gun itself, the mold is also different, as you can see now. Here there's an empty slot for you to place the belt feet onto the gun itself. Then we have his belt, and the belt is not painted at all, pure green plastic color. You've got the button here to connect to this section here, and there's a bit of molding details there. You've got the belt buckle, and the belt itself actually has some tiny little bit of details. There's actually lines there, you can see. Very nicely done. Then we have a pair of identical, well, bandolier here. Now the bandolier is covered with all the ammo here, and the mold is nothing new. It's the same old mold that you can find in the single color Rock N Roll there. All the ammo has been painted, as you can see there. The entire thing is made of a green, lime green plastic color. And there you have it, with all the accessories there. Let's take a look at Rock N Roll's paint job. Now, majority of the parts there, again, are not painted. However, some of the parts that's painted, which can surprise you a little bit. Let's start off with the obvious parts that's not painted. The torso is not painted at all, just pure green plastic color, except for the neck joint, which is painted, as you can see there. Now, the abdomen area is not painted at all, just pure green plastic color. And the waist area, the crotch area, is painted with the camel black paint. Shoulders is actually made with a flesh tone plastic color. So they actually painted the sleeve here, the short sleeve, with the green paint job. The entire lower arms there is not painted at all, just pure plastic color. It even comes with a, as you can see, the mold of the hand here. There's a watch there, but it's not bothered to be painted. Two of the gloves here is actually made of a black plastic color, so there is no paint job there. Ties there, despite it's made of a green plastic color, the camel of the ties there, the black camel, is painted in black, of course. And the knife sheath is a separate piece, not painted at all, made of black plastic material color. Kneecaps is not painted. For the lower section of the legs, the entire lower section here is made of a black plastic material color. So they actually painted the lower leg section just below the knee here in green and with black camel paint job. So the bottom section is not painted, so does the boots. Now here's the funny thing, the entire head is actually made of a green plastic material color. You can see a bit of hint of green there, but mostly you will notice there's gray, but there's a bit of green there. So they actually, well, coated the entire, well, green head of Rock N Roll there with gray color, and then painted with the flesh tone skin and blonde hair, plus the beard, and also the pupil eyes and the eyebrows. So the paint job is actually not bad, plus the fact that I prefer this color compared to the single color version, because the single color version there's no camel paint job. If you compare the figure, I prefer this version because you have the camel paint job there. Now let's take a look at the figure's mold. Again, all the parts here are reused, of course. The head is actually from the single color version of Rock N Roll, so no surprise there. Now what's funny is that the torso here and the waist area here share the same mold as this version of Snake Eyes. No changes at all. However, the entire arms and the entire legs share the same mold as Flynn or Duke, depending on which figure. The only changes is that the side of the tie itself for Flynn it will be a gun holster, for Rock and Roll it will be a knife sheath. Now, compared to the single color version, the hand there, well, they are not using the Flynn arms there, they use Corporal Breaker's arms, and the wrist joint it doesn't look very nice at all because you can see the cut. So they actually use Flynn's arm. So you have Rock and Roll in this version having black gloves, and it actually covers the swivel joint there, which is very nicely done. I really like this version with the camo paint on the leg, the pants there, and the molds being used on this version of Rock and Roll. It looks very nice. Now let's take a look at the figure's articulation. The head can actually pivot up and down like so, go side to side and turn 360 degrees. Also here can move forward a little bit, back a little bit, can't go side to side at all, as you can see, forward, back a little bit, and turn 360 degrees. Shoulder joints here can turn 360 degrees and lift the arms this high. Elbow joint here can bend this far, back, and turn 360 degrees. Wrist joint here can turn 360 degrees, and then the hip joints here move forward, but this is as far I can move, as you can see there, to the sides. Double jointed knee that bends this far, and ankle joint that pivots downwards, upwards, and turn 360 degrees. Now let's fully equip Rock and Roll with all the accessories here, starting off with the belt feet, the bandoliers. First we have him equipped like so. Lift the arms this high first, place it like so. Do the other one. I put it on, well, incorrectly. I forgot to mention that the belt, the bandolier belt, two of them are actually in two different molds here. As you can see in the middle, they removed the ammo itself, as you can see. So my bad on that part. There you go, this is much more better. So in the middle portion of the bandolier itself, or the inside one, is, well, basically empty, so you can actually strap it on like so. Put the head in, helmet, and the knife like so. And let's not forget the belt, which I neglected to place earlier on. There you go. Have him hold the light machine gun. That's the problem with the hand itself, is that because you have the trigger holder and he doesn't have a trigger finger, so it doesn't hold the weapon properly. You're barely able to hold it, so might as well put it on the other side, because the other hand actually has a trigger finger and everything is falling apart, so my bad on that. And then the belt feet. And he's done. As you can see, he's barely able to hold the weapon. So it's a bit pain at times. Have him stand on the base down. And there you have it. Rock and Roll fully armed. Now the figure is much more better compared to the single color version, because the single color version, I really can't stand looking at the light machine gun being in green, and plus the fact that his uniform is just plain dull looking for the single color version. It's mostly all green except for the flesh tone skin, and everything is green, and it looked really dull when you look at it. For the comic pack version, this actually looks a bit more better, considering there's actually more color compared to the single color version. So if I'm going to give a rating out of this figure, despite that he barely able to hold his weapon properly at all, and I really wish that some of the weapons actually are painted like the knife itself. The knife blade is not painted in silver, so it looks kind of dull looking, and the belt fin there, the ammo, is not painted at all. It looks pretty dull as well. So if I'm going to give a rating out of this, I'll give it a nice 6 out of 10 for Staff Sergeant Rock N Roll. Yes, 6 out of 10 for Rock N Roll here, and I thank you all for watching. This is Lucy05, and I'm signing off.